Buddhism is a religion that is followed by approximately 488 million people around the globe and has been around for over 2 millenniums. But in my opinion, classifying it as a religion isn't very accurate, as it differs quite heavily from other religious doctrines such as Christianity, Islam, and even Hinduism in many ways. Buddhism is more of a philosophy, and its teachings have been compared to that of Arthur Schopenhauer and Friedrich Nietzsche for its commentary on nihilism and the nature of suffering. It was even praised by Albert Einstein, whom insinuated that it was a religion of the future. In this video, my goal is to summarize its most important virtues and how it came to be one of the most widely accepted belief systems in world history. Hopefully you'll come out of it with a better understanding of the matter, and maybe you'll even apply some of its insights to your own life. But before that, don't forget to like and subscribe for more informative videos, and without further ado, let's get into it. The person known worldwide as the Buddha's real name is actually Siddhartha Gautama, and he was born near the Indian-Nepalese border around 2,600 years ago as the prince of a powerful clan known as the Shakya. Before he was conceived, it was predicted that he'd become either a powerful king or an influential spiritual leader. And of course his parents wanted him to become a great king one day, so they sheltered him from the world and provided him with a life of extreme privilege. His family was part of the warrior caste, and he grew up to be very talented, tall, strong, and handsome. And for years, things went really well for Siddhartha. That is, until he was 29 and had a rare trip outside the confines of his palace. While out in the real world, he saw someone dealing with serious illness, a decrepit old man, and lastly a dead person. It was at this point that he realized that sickness, old age, and death awaited everyone that he loved, and that there was nothing that he could do about it, thus changing his views on life forever. It is said that later on he encountered a person meditating and was mesmerized by how peaceful and content they looked, sparking the idea that suffering was something that could be overcome within the mind itself. It was at this point that Siddhartha decided that he would leave his royal responsibilities and family behind in order to begin his search for enlightenment. Over the course of the next 6 years, he met with many spiritual teachers and learned lots of different techniques, and they helped him learn about the potential of the mind, but didn't result in him achieving the level of understanding that he longed for. Finally, at a place called Bodh Gaya, he decided that he would unwaveringly sit under a Bodhi tree in meditation until he reached enlightenment. After spending 6 straight days moving past the mind's most trivial and subtle obstacles, he finally obtained his goal. He reached enlightenment and became the Buddha on a full moon morning of May, a week before he turned 35. Going forward, he traveled on foot all over northern India, sharing his knowledge with everyone from any caste, from kings to peasants, and gained lots of influence and a large following in the area. Now that we've learned about the origins of the Buddha, let's get into a summary of the core beliefs introduced by him, starting with the way of inquiry. In one of the most popular Buddhist scriptures, the Kalama Sutra, the Buddha travels to a town called Kispuda, inhabited by the Kalama people. The locals gathered and told the Buddha that many spiritual leaders have visited their town previously, each preaching a new doctrine and putting down the beliefs of others. Therefore, they felt conflicted about what they should consider to be true and what they should consider to be false. The Buddha proceeded to explain the danger of fashioning one's belief based on hearsay, tradition, authority, or out of trust in one's teachers, priests, or elders. He told them to instead maintain an open mind and to analyze certain concepts to see if they apply to one's own experience, reasoning process, and if it produces a feeling of happiness for them. He encouraged the locals to apply this method to his own teachings also, which is a very innovative concept for its time and is absent from most other religions. This belief is foundational to the overall philosophy of Buddhism, which leads to the next core belief, which is the Four Noble Truths. Buddhist philosophy is all about obtaining happiness and contentment within this life, instead of focusing too much on the nature of the universe, the existence of God, or the concept of heaven. Thus, all Buddhists accept what is called the Four Noble Truths as a guideline to ending all personal suffering. The first noble truth is that all forms of being, human or otherwise, are afflicted with suffering. The second one is that the cause of this suffering is craving, born out of the illusion of the soul. The third one is that this suffering has a lasting end in the experience of enlightenment, which is the complete letting go of the illusion of the soul and all consequent desire and aversion. Number 4 is that this peaceful and blissful enlightenment is achieved through gradual training, which is a path called the middle way or the Eightfold Path. So with that being said, let's learn about the Eightfold Path that the Buddha outlined in order to transcend suffering. These 8 steps are predicated based on the 3 essentials of Buddhist training, which are ethical conduct, discipline, and wisdom. The Buddha taught that personal development in these areas are paramount to living a peaceful and fulfilling life. So here's a quick and simplified summary of the Eightfold Path. The first step is right understanding, which is the understanding that the 4 noble truths are noble and true, and that what is subject to arising is subject to ceasing. Number 2 is right thought, which is the mindful commitment to thoughts of love and nonviolence. Number 3 is right speech, which is avoiding slander, gossip, lying, and all forms of untrue and abusive speech. Number 4 is right action/conduct, which is abstaining from destroying life, from stealing, from dishonest dealings of any kind, and the commitment to helping others to lead a peaceful and honorable life in the right way. Number 5 is right livelihood, which is not slaughtering animals or working at jobs that force you to violate others. Number 6 is right mental attitude or effort, which is avoiding negative thoughts and emotions such as anger and jealousy. Number 7 is right mindfulness, which is having a clear sense of one's mental state, bodily health, and feelings. And lastly, number 8 is right concentration, which is using meditation to reach the highest level of enlightenment. By adhering to the Noble Eightfold Path, followers of the Buddhist philosophy not only improve their lives, but are said to accrue something that is referred to as karma. The word karma is a Sanskrit word meaning action, and in Pali is pronounced kama. Buddhists believe that we are in control of our own ultimate fate, and that fate is determined by our actions and intentions behind them. The problem is that most of us are unaware of this, which is what causes suffering. The purpose of Buddhism is to take conscious control of our behavior because acting on our habits are said to increase their strength. Therefore, the goal is to gradually weaken any negative thoughts and impulses that we experience through allowing them to arise and depart naturally without acting on them, which is a skill honed through mindfulness meditation. On a larger scale, karma determines where a person will be reborn in their next life. This part of Buddhism is likely left over from the religion of Hinduism, which predates Buddhism by approximately 900 years. Good karma can result in being born in one of the heavenly realms, and bad karma can cause rebirth as an animal or a torment in a hell realm. Buddhists try to cultivate good karma and avoid bad karma. However, the aim is to escape the cycle of rebirth altogether, not simply to acquire good karma and so be born into a more pleasant state. In Buddhism, they believe in rebirth, but Siddhartha still spoke of what is known as the illusion of the soul. The Buddha taught that there isn't a single component of the human existence that we can consider to be the soul. Instead, we are just a temporary combination of parts and activities, and only when they act in complete unison, we can be considered a human being. So essentially, we are just like a computer. When a computer is taken apart, there isn't one single part that can be considered the computer. A computer is actually the sum of many independent components. This phenomenon is what is called the illusion of the soul, which manifests itself as ego, which the Buddha taught is the root cause of all suffering. Our egos always seek to control things, and control manifests as desire and aversion. This results in both lack of inner peace and outer harmony, yet rebirth in this philosophy still occurs without a soul. Here's a common explanation taught in Buddhism. On a Buddhist shrine, a candle is burnt low and is about to go out. A monk takes a new candle and lights it from the old one. The old candle goes out, but the new candle burns bright. What went across from the old candle to the new? There was a cause and an effect, a link, but no thing went across. In the same way, there was a causal link between your previous life and your present life, but no soul went across. These are the most foundational beliefs found within Buddhism. There are many more teachings brought forth by the Buddha, but it'd be impossible for me to cover them all without this video dragging out too long. I resolved to cover the most important topics within the philosophy in my opinion, but if you have a thirst for more info, I recommend reading the book called The Heart of Buddhist Teaching by Thich Nhat Hanh, which is an even more in-depth summary of the philosophy, including information about how different schools of Buddhism differ from one another. But to wrap things up, Buddhism is a philosophy and religion that has greatly impacted the world and has satisfied the spiritual and philosophical needs of nearly 1/5 of humankind. Therefore, I'm sure many of its philosophies will fit well within your own personal philosophical lexicon. But unfortunately, that's it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And with that being said, I'll catch you on the next one.